Was a very, very deep man when it came to matters of understanding the social context. He was a man who would give the highest amount of respect to the other person, yet not compromise on values and principles. And I want to focus on this one point that bespeaks of the greatness and grandeur of the spirit of Vallabhbhai Patel. One word, my dear friends, I would request you to not forget till the end of life. He was uncompromising when it came to matters of upholding values and principles. Mulya, what we call mulya, mulya bodhan, it is very important. If you become very flexible when it comes to principles and values, if you keep compromising it because your friend wanted you to compromise, if you compromise it because that makes you popular, if you start compromising it because you want to be famous in the world, even God cannot save you. At the end of the day, what is life? Life is about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 eternal principles that we pay homage to. And Sardar Patel has shown, without compromising an iota of values and principles, Sardar Patel was able to unify a massive country called India, which today, frankly, even for the most intelligent person, is unthinkable. Show me another example of a unification that has happened, the magnitude of which can be compared to what happened in India in 1947, 48, and 49. It took one Sardar Patel to unify a country, and that was because of adherence, that was because of respect, that was because of attachment to values and principles, which made him very open, candid, yet very firm in the negotiation process with the Rajas of India, in which one line that came out emphatically from the lips of the great hero of India was, I understand your problem, I respect your problem, it is my duty to look after you, but then I'm sorry to say this will only happen if you look after the wishes of India. As long as the interests of India is threatened, as long as the interests of India is in peril, no compromise is possible. Now, this is what is called attitudinal reinforcement of some of the fundamental principles of life. That is the non-negotiable, profound, and inescapable values of life, which, if not respected, could make life extremely tasteless, dull, insipid, and most importantly, a life which has got no purpose. And I think it is important that as youngsters we take up this task. And how do we take up this task? Wherever we are living, in a village, in a city, wherever, educate people, talk to people. I go to so many Anganwadis, Balawadis, government schools. The reason is very simple. The more samvedan I'm able to do to people, I'm able to actually communicate a lot of ideas that are struggling in me to find expression. I go to villages and I go to schools and colleges and request people, you plant more trees. What a great contribution. It is one way in which your whole aspect of responsibility consciousness can be kindled. And you, instead of paying lip service to making the society better, you practically start contributing to make the society better. The more the number of trees, the better the society becomes. The more the number of plants, the society gains that much more. What is stopping us from taking up a task? If everyone listening to this particular speech makes a promise to his conscience, not to me, not to your college authorities, not to anyone, you make a promise to your conscience, I will plant 20 trees. I will look after 20 trees. Planting is one thing, but I will look after 20 trees is a commitment that you could make to your conscience. Look at the inestimable, priceless contribution you would be making to making the society better. I want to quote the example of a girl who was not fortunate to go to school. वो tribal community से था किनिया में, नाम वांगारी म्यूटा माताई. Extremely poor background था उसका. Her father died when she was young. Mother was so poor that she was not able to send her to school. But all the others in that particular tribal community called Kikulu, in a forest called Aberdare, they all went to school. This girl was very sad, very, very despondent and desolate. And this girl one day asked the mother, Mother, mujhe bhi jana hai school. Vidya do mujhe. The mother said, apne paas paisa nahi hai. Affordability एक प्रॉब्लम है, तो वांगारी मैं आपको कुछ लैंड का पीस दे देता हूं और मेरा रिक्वेस्ट है कि वो लैंड पीस में आप एग्रीकल्चर कीजिए. So very reluctantly, the girl, she had no other option but to compromise and take that patch of land. And the mother gave 15 square feet of land in this forest called Aberdare. This young girl started planting maize, millets, and beans because this particular community is vegetarian. So they only eat vegetables. She started planting, and what happened after a few years, this lady developed tremendous amount of attachment to these plants, to nature, to the environment. She became obsessed with it to such an extent that she understood मेरे लाइफ का पर्पस वेरी सिंपल है. ये जो वातावरण को प्योर बनाने के लिए, फ्री एंड गुड ऑक्सीजन समाज को देने के लिए, which is one of the highest seva karmas you could conceptualize, I will have to take leadership to propagate and disseminate the importance of tree planting. And I like her statement. उसका जो स्लोगन था, बहुत ब्यूटीफुल स्लोगन, कंसाइज स्लोगन है, बट इतना पावर है उस स्लोगन में कि हम सब इंस्पायर्ड हो जाएंगे. उसका स्लोगन है, यू प्लांट अ ट्री, यू आर प्लांटिंग एन आइडिया. आई रिपीट, you plant a tree, you're planting an idea. And my dear friends, this one girl, tribal girl from Kikulu in Kenya, was instrumental in planting 40 million trees across the length and breadth of Kenya. Look at the magnitude that I'm trying to communicate. 40 million trees by one inspired person. 40 million trees. What would it have done to this country called Kenya? And you know, it's almost like an informal joke that today when a Kenyan has a good gush of breath, he says, thank you, Wangari, for having given us clean, uncontaminated air. And what it has done to nature, you cannot quantify, measure, or represent. It is priceless. One person, the most important thing, one person inspired, selfless, focused on transforming the society, the contribution unthinkable. So if one Adivasi person who came from such a poor, impoverished and deprived background, जिंदगी में resources भी नहीं था उसके पास, उसको भी overcome करके अगर एक व्यक्ति इतना समाज के लिए कर सकता है, तो educated, literate people like us, हम लोग क्या नहीं कर सकते. पर the fundamental question is, हम लोग सोचते क्यों नहीं? What is stopping us from planting 20 trees and looking after 20 trees? We all talk about big things. We talk about what others should do for us. But world is going to ask us one question. Nature is going to ask us one question. Our conscience one day will confront us and ask us this very fundamental, basic question. What have you done? अपने country का history, वो परंपरा में, संस्कृति में एक beautiful term, one term that I would request all of you to study in life and implement it very practically in your life. That word is the word कर्म योगी. भारत में कभी कर्म ही नहीं बोला हमने बोला कर्म योगी बोला, क्योंकि कर्म करना सेल्फिश भी हो सकता है, कर्म में एक्सेसिव सेल्फ इंटरेस्ट हो सकता है, कर्म में आई एम ट्राइंग टू राइज एट द एक्सपेंस ऑफ अनदर पर्सन, कर्म में नेगेटिविटी हो सकता है, कर्म में जस्ट लुकिंग एट माई पर्सनल वेलफेयर एंड वेलफेयर ऑफ द फैमिली भी हो सकता है. बट भारत में ऋषिज ने बोला कर्म योगी संस्कार is the only way to ensure that your life proceeds in a harmonious fashion. And what is karma yogi? When karma, the action that you do, is united with a spirit of selflessness, is done with dignity, is done with honesty, is done without causing pain and harm to the others, you become a karma yogi. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was a karma yogi. Rabindranath Tagore was a karma yogi. All of them have done the same thing. They have lived for a larger purpose. Wangari Maathai is a karma yogi. She is also living for a larger purpose. So I think it is important that instead of wasting our time, instead of squandering our time when we are young, it is important to engage in useful, purposeful, productive social pursuits as well. I'm convinced of one thing, that right from when I was young, a school student, I remember in the 12th standard to graduate program, I started visiting the cancer ward of the government hospital. I started visiting the burns ward of the government hospital. I started visiting the psychiatric ward of the government hospital. I started visiting the leprosy hospital, where hundreds of patients were suffering from leprosy then. My aim was very simple. It was just to go and talk to them, give them comfort, give them hope, give them consolation. There were people who were completely denuded of hope, totally bereft of hope. To give them that spark of joy. By fear physical presence, you just stand and talk to them. I remember when I went to a leprosarium, a leprosy hospital, I understood one great principle of life which has helped me tremendously in the process of developing myself. And that is this body that we talk about. There is so much of pride in the body. And I'm sorry to say, today a lot of people spend excessive amount of time dressing up this body. But it's very important that we understand spiritually how weak, how imbecile, and how it is important to look at the body with respect and reverence. Because in 1 second, this whole body can change. When you go to the leprosarium, I found instances wherein, a lady having leprosy and, that skin peeling off and all that, looking very grotesque at the tip of the finger. Leprosy, the practical thing is seen at the tip of the finger. The fingers looking a little, grotesque and different. And so what happens is nobody is allowed to touch the other person. And I've seen with my own eyes, and I want all of you to take the judgment. It is important to treat your body as a sacred thing. It is important to respect your body, not to abuse your body. Always respect your body, because I learned it in the leprosy hospital when a grandmother suffering from leprosy and her daughter coming with a granddaughter, very smart and young granddaughter. The grandmother was very happy, and the grandmother probably forgot for a second that she's got leprosy. She just took her hands to hold that child. And as she stretched her hand out to hold the child, her daughter just moved away from her. The communication was very simple. Usko chune ka nahi, because your finger has got leprosy. And I will never forget that scene of having witnessed that scene when the grandmother just looked at the sky and cried and said, what is more frustrating than this disease is isolation. That is what our body is. Please, my dear friends, respect the Indian custom and tradition even when it comes to matters of dress. The reason why I'm saying it is because today there is too much of Western-oriented dressing that we see in India. A lot of people dress like zebras and cobras today, because America has taught us no dress is dress. And if that be the case, I would request you to please come with me to the oncology ward, to the cancer ward, wherein I've seen with my own eyes bodies which look extremely repugnant, because a whole portion is afflicted with cancer and the patient tries it hard to conceal that part of the body. It could be the throat. It could be the tongue. It could be different parts of the body. The cheek, I've seen with my own eyes, tongue protruding out, falling out of the cheek. The mouth is totally closed because of mouth cancer, oral cancer. And the face, ironically speaking, very good. Face में कुछ problem नहीं है. But lower part of the face, पूरा बिगाड़ दिया cancer में. And then I look at that face and I ask myself, that's a very important aspect of self-development. When you get an experience, ask yourself, how do I learn from that experience? मेरे लाइफ में जो चेंज मुझे ब्रिंग करना है, ये एक्सपीरियंस के हिसाब से मैं कैसे ला सकता हूँ? और इट्स इंपॉर्टेंट, जब भी हम अपने जीवन में एक एक्सपीरियंस, नया एक्सपीरियंस आए, उसी वक्त हमें ट्रांसफॉर्म करना पड़ेगा वो एस्पेक्ट ऑफ अपना पर्सनैलिटी. So when I looked at this particular girl and I found this tongue protruding out of the cheek and the mouth was closed, hanging tongue like this, very, very sublime face this person had, but she was holding it like this to conceal that part of the face. I looked at that face and learned one of the greatest lessons in life. Your body is sacred. जैसे मंदिर में जाते हैं, वो body भी एक मंदिर है. It is a temple. It is sacred. You should look at your body with respect. That is why I would strongly recommend it. You should, the whole aspect of not smoking, not drinking, eating vegetarian food, it is very, very important. It is very, very important. That is what gives dynamism to the body. If I'm speaking with dynamism and energy, it is only because the energy comes not from my intellectual knowledge. My knowledge is very limited. I'm not a very brainy person. My mathematical knowledge is negligible. I'm a very average person. But my energy level is only from the lifestyle that I lead. And to all the youngsters of Gujarat who are listening to this presentation, as a brother, I'm making this request. It is important, my dear friends, in this age of globalization, you have to look at your lifestyle with tremendous amount of respect. That's why it's important not to smoke, not to drink, and most importantly, this is something that you see in Gujarat, but I want to repeat it, having a vegetarian diet. Sattvic food, vegetarian food. You know, some of the greatest personalities of the world who have done great seva to this world, right from an Albert Einstein, to a Darwin, to a Leonardo da Vinci, to a Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, to a Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, to a Vallabhbhai Patel, to a Leo Tolstoy, all of them have one thing in common. They are all uncompromising vegetarians. And you know what made them vegetarians? It is not just because the whole aspect of health is important. I am a vegetarian, despite the fact that I come from the southern part of India, where you find a lot of people eating non-vegetarian, but I'm a 100% vegetarian for one reason. It is that, you know, I was looking at the pain that animals are suffering when they are slaughtered. And you take a small pin and you just prick the end of your finger, and one drop of blood, one droplet of blood comes out of your finger, you feel tremendous amount of pain and agony. Now you're all experts in mathematics. Multiply that small pain by 1 lakh times. That is what an animal undergoes when it is butchered or slaughtered mercilessly. And do you think after eating it, you will get peace of mind? Your body will be healthy. Your mind will be healthy. You will be able to have good thought process. It is important. It is important, my dear friends, to look at the moral perspective of vegetarianism as well, not just the medical perspective. The reason